Using ActionPack starts with a workflow. You add ServiceNow actions that come either in the form of embedded workflows or individual jobs. Then we'll focus on incidents. These records exist to track actual incidents in our IT infrastructure. In the context of IT operations, that means unexpected events like job failures. The video briefly covers the generic category as well. This integration uses variables extensively. ServiceNow records have many fields: record number, system ID, description, short description, state, priority, urgency, and many more. These are relevant to the record definition. These values are passed back and forth over REST and should be available to all children tasks in the workflow. They're stored in pre-configured variables for every action. We'll show them in Automix reports. We'll create an incident, execute, and monitor in Automic while observing its matching counterpart in ServiceNow. We've created a ServiceNow folder to store our testing objects. We create a standard workflow and add ServiceNow tasks. Let's start with variables. As stated earlier, these are central to ServiceNow design. ServiceNow is a cloud application for which the endpoint URL does not change. We create a URL variable. In future developments, we'll be able to simply reuse it and manage it centrally. If the endpoint changes, we only have to reset it once. In our ServiceNow implementation, several fields like description and urgency are required. These values are stored at the level of the main workflow and made available to all children tasks. We head to the workflow page and start adding actions. We add a create incident task. We populate the fields. We need the URL, authentication details, incident details, and the REST agents. We don't have a proxy, and the default advanced connection options are fine. Description and short description are not the same. Short description is the title of the incidents. Urgency is required, and we'll add a couple of fields present in the current records. Caller ID is also expected by ServiceNow and it doesn't change, so we'll add another variable. Finally, we create workflow connections. We're using a split screen with Automic at the top and ServiceNow at the bottom. We execute. A new incident is generated in ServiceNow. The assigned number starting with INC will be used in official communications, reports, emails, and so on. Internally, for tracking and identification purposes, Automic and ServiceNow use the record system ID. We'll come back to this. The data is entirely consistent with the values we passed in the required fields, as well as the JSON expression. The response fed values to two variables found everywhere, system ID and number. We see the post request and the result containing the two values, system ID and incident number. The activation report contains all the variables configured for the task. Generic actions pertain to all categories. Irrespective of functional area, you should be able to create a new record, get details for the new records, obtain the system ID, set a field value, and more. Later, we'll show how generic actions are used for asset management, such as virtual machines. We'll add a VM in ServiceNow and synchronize it with the actual creation, say in Google Cloud Platform or AWS EC2.